In today's creativity flow, we are going to move through some poses to help you find a little peace of mind. Too often our brains are just going a mile a minute thinking about all the things we need to do, all the things we should do, all the things we want to do versus the things we need to do. And that can make it really, really hard to sit down and create and focus on our creative projects. So we're going to try to find a little peace of mind, a little practice that you can do if you're feeling especially anxious before you sit down to work on your creative projects. So we're going to start in a mountain pose, standing. You can be at the top of your mat. I'll start facing you to start. Just going to find a nice stable base from the ground up and start to come into our breath, to let anything off of the mat fall away for just a little while. So pressing all four corners of the feet into the mat, pushing up away from the mat, activating the legs, keeping a nice micro bend in the knees. Coming up to center, we'll just pull the belly button up and back to engage the core. Pull the shoulders down, away from the ears, the shoulder blades together. And then to find a little length in the neck, maybe imagine you have a string attached to the top of your head that's pulling up toward the ceiling. And that should help find some length through the neck and down through the spine. And then here in mountain, in this really engaged posture, we'll start to breathe in through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. And as you breathe, maybe you even notice your heart rate begin to slow, that urge to run around to the next thing kind of start to pass. Breathing, becoming aware of the movements that your body makes when you breathe, the rise of the chest on the inhale, the expansion, and the emptying, the falling of the chest on the exhale. And throughout this practice, just paying special attention to the breath, to how the air feels coming in through the nose. And even that simple change and kind of your attention and your focus can really help calm the mind. If that's all you do is just pause to take a couple of breaths, focus on the feeling of the breathing. If that's all you have time for, that's a great way to start to find a little peace of mind. I'm going to move to the top of the mat now, and we'll start to invite a little movement here in the body. Starting by just moving through a couple of half sun salutations if you're familiar. The inhale, we'll reach for the sky, reaching through the fingertips, stretching through the body. And exhale, folding forward, slicing the hands down the middle. Leading with the chin and the chest. This first one, keeping the knees really, really bent. Inhale, half flat back. Hands come to the shins or the thighs, creating a 7-ish shape with the body, whatever that looks like to you. And exhale, back into the fold. Bending your knees, maybe letting yourself rest here for just a moment. You maybe nod the head yes. Shake it no. Letting blood rush up through your chest. And then on the next inhale, straightening through the legs, reaching for the sky, coming back up. And exhale, letting the hands fall down through center, back to the sides. And just that movement, that flow, matching the movement to the breath can kind of have almost a hypnotic effect. So if your brain is going a mile a minute, a couple 100 miles a minute for some of us. Just moving through these poses can help slow that down. So inhale, reaching for the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach for the sky. And on the exhale, we'll move right back into the fold. Maybe starting to straighten through the legs. Lifting the tailbone up toward the sky to really engage the legs here, feeling a nice stretch. Inhale, half flat back. And this time on the exhale, we'll let the hands fall to the mat on either sides of the feet. We're going to step the right foot back and then the left, coming into a plank pose for just a moment. Inhale at the top and exhale, drop the belly and the chest to the mat. Inhale to baby cobra, pulling the chin and the chest away from the mat, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. And exhale to release. Inhale, tuck the toes. And exhale, pushing up through plank, or if you need to rest your knees here for just a moment. And then back through to downward dog, lifting the hips up and back. Keeping a nice bend in the knees, pressing the heels toward the mat. They do not have to touch. Pressing all 10 fingers into the mat. Lifting the tailbone and breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose. Sigh it out through the mouth. On the next inhale, we'll press the left foot into the mat, lifting the right up and back into a three-legged dog. Lifting that leg up to the sky, keeping the toes pointed toward the ground. And on the exhale, bring that knee toward the chest. If you need a little help, give it a little room round through the back, pushing away from the mat. And bring that right foot up between the hands into a runner's lunge for just a moment. Just to find some stability here. Inviting a nice stretch, pressing the left heel toward the back of the mat. You can be up on your fingertips here. And then we're just gonna, instead of where we normally are in runner's lunge here, we're gonna move that foot, that right foot toward the edge of the mat, the right edge of the mat, so it's to the outside of the hand. Lift the hand, give it some space, and then bring it down so that now both hands are toward the inside of that right foot, and that right foot is open wide toward the right edge of the mat. So we're gonna come into lizard here. You can drop this back leg if that's more comfortable for you, whatever works for you here. Back leg up or back leg down. For what we're doing, it might give a little more of a stable base to have that back leg down, but if you want a little more of a stretch, you can keep it up. And then we're just gonna pause here and let ourselves get as close to the mat as we can, bringing the chest toward the mat, maybe bending the elbows. You can actually use a block here if you have one handy. A blanket, a pillow, anything. You can untuck the toes if that feels best. And we're just gonna hang out here, trying to keep that right leg over that right ankle. We don't want this right leg coming out too far toward the edge of the mat. Try to keep it a nice straight line above that right leg. And just maybe let your head hang. Taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. It might help to actively pull that right knee toward the body, keeping it from kind of splaying out. Inhale. And exhale. If you can, come all the way down to your mat on your forearms. You can do that. Just find your edge and stay there. You can push yourself to try to see where that edge is, but just don't do anything that hurts, anything that causes any sharp pain. And after a few breaths, you can release the stretch, maybe move the block if you have one. We're just gonna move that right foot back to where we started, back toward the center of the mat, so that it's now between the hands. Again, lift that back leg if you've dropped it. Press the hands to the mat, stepping that right foot back to meet the left. So we're in a plank for just a second. Inhale and exhale, lower everything to the mat. And from here, we're gonna bring our forearms to the mat. You can bring your fingertips maybe even almost to the top of the mat, depending where you are. We're gonna lift up into Sphinx Pose. So it's a little like baby cobra, but we have our forearms on the mat instead of just the hands. Inhale, you can move your hands out so they align. The elbows can align actually right under the shoulders. And inhale, pressing the tops of the thighs, the tops of the feet, the hip bones into the mat. Inhale here and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Engaging the core to try to take a little work away from that lower back. Keeping the shoulder blades pulled away from the ears. So we're taking a few extra breaths here in poses rather than flowing right through them, just to help slow the mind. Bring a little calm, invite a little calm into the body. We'll take one more inhale in through the nose. Sigh it out through the mouth and let everything release back to the mat. You can pull the hands back now to in line with the chest. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, pushing up into plank or to the knees and all the way back through to downward dog. And do that on the other side here. So we'll press. Actually, before we do that, you know what? We're gonna drop the knees to the mat, press the bum back toward the heels, and just take a little rest here in child's pose. Another great pose for calming the mind, slowing down the brain. Drop your forehead to the mat, give yourself a little forehead massage. Paying attention to the breath. How it feels in the body. And then on the next inhale, just pulling ourselves up to tabletop for just a moment before rocking back, pressing the hips up and back into our downward dog. And then we'll let the right heel fall toward the mat, pressing the right foot into the mat, lifting the left up and back for a three-legged dog on the other side than we just did. Keeping the hips even, the toes of that left foot pointed toward the ground. And exhale, pull the knee toward the chest, rounding through the back, giving a little extra space if needed. Coming into a runner's lunge while we find stability here. Stacking that left knee over the left ankle. It can be up on the fingertips. And then we'll slowly start to move that left foot now out toward the left side of the mat, bringing the left hand to the inside of the foot. Into little lizard here. Can drop that back knee. And now again, if you have your block candy and want to use it, just slowly lower the chest toward the mat. It doesn't have to touch. One side might come down a little easier than the other. That's where that block comes in handy. Just bring the earth up to you. Block, pillow, blanket. Can be a blanket folded up. You can untuck that toe. Being aware of that knee. This is where you can see a little better. You don't want it to pull out toward the edge of the mat, but in toward the body. I'm breathing here, making sure the breath can flow. If you're having a hard time breathing, maybe come out of the pose a little bit, adjust, give yourself a little space. Couple more breaths here, paying attention to the mind, the body, just bringing all your attention inward. If you do find it start to wander off to the outside world, just bring it back. It's okay. We just don't need to worry about that at the moment. And then after a couple of breaths, start to adjust, make your way out. Set your block aside. Moving that left foot back into center, between the hands. Lifting that back leg back up. Stepping the left foot back to meet the right. Inhale at the top of your plank. Exhale, release everything to the mat. Coming back to Sphinx Pose one more time. Bring the forearms to the mat. Elbows under shoulders. Inhale, the chin and the chest away from the mat, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. So we don't want to be hunched here. Still want a long, strong spine. Breathing, inhaling through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more round, inhale. And exhale. And we'll give one more inhale. And exhale, release everything. Bring the hands back, even with the chest. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, pushing up into our plank. And exhale, pushing the hips up and back into downward dog. We'll inhale and exhale. And inhale, bend the knees, look to the top of the mat. And exhale, walk the feet up to meet the hands. Coming into a forward fold. Inhale, half flat back, hands to the shin or the thighs. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reaching up, hands reaching for the sky, gazing at the hands. Exhale, release the hands down through center, back to the side. Inhale and exhale. And that's where we'll stop today, back in mountain pose where we started. If you're feeling a little more calm, you can make your way to the mat if you'd like to embrace the stillness a little more. Come to your back, enjoy a little shavasana, a little corpse pose, or just any resting pose that feels good to you. Or you can head to your notebook, your computer. If you need a little extra inspiration for some creative ideas, you can grab a prompt from the end of this video and go create. So thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste, warriors. Now go fight for your creativity.
Great flow, warriors. Now it's time to take that energy and create. If you still need a little extra inspiration, just grab a creativity prompt to get the ideas flowing. And if you have a friend who's also fighting writer's block, make sure to share this video and don't forget to subscribe. Now go fight for your creativity.